All right, getting ready to fix this part of the soundboard. I checked yesterday. This is loose here. You can even see it. And then I took the screws out of here, and this is loose all around here. You can see and hear it. It's tight right here and loose there, and then tight. I checked all around the belly rail. This is called the belly rail, or what the Germans call it, the dam, for some reason. I don't know why. This is a huge piece of maple. It's very thick like this. It's about this wide, and it narrows down to about an inch up here and gets even more narrow up here. So when I took the screws out, you can see if I can fit this in here. It's open just a very little, but that's all it takes. So this has to be repaired, and it has to be repaired carefully also. And one thing is to not fall into the idea of wedging this open so that you can get it, so that I can get glue in here better. You don't want to damage any of this so that it doesn't go back together perfectly. So I'm going to leave it just the way it is, just so I can put this very thin feeler gauge in there. And now the promised rant about hide glue. Here, this is what hot hide glue is. You buy it dried in granules like this, and you add water and you add heat to activate it. And that's what was used on this originally. And that's what is still in there. The glue is still on both pieces of the wood. And the real beauty of hide glue is that what I'm going to do first is put some water in here, and that's going to start to soften the glue that's on the wood, already soaked into the wood. And then I'm going to put some hot water and use this heat gun, and I'm going to reactivate. It's almost going to reactivate that glue, where under certain circumstances you could just do that and then it would glue back together just fine. But you really can't trust that there isn't some area where you need more glue. So you add some more glue, which is heating up right here. You just add some more of this glue, and it will blend seamlessly with the old glue. Indistinguishably and seamlessly with the old glue. And that's the beauty of hide glue. If it were some other kind of glue, the two glues would not get along as well. Why is that important? It's important because there's no reason to assume that I'm the last person who's ever going to work on this piano. And people who do this kind of stuff really shouldn't assume that. So let's say, and all glues fail eventually. I don't care. Epoxy is a very strong glue. There's nothing wrong with epoxy, but it doesn't last forever. And then you're going to have a virtual hodgepodge of different kinds of glue in here that aren't going to stick to each other eventually. Meanwhile, hide glue you can do this 1,000 times. You know, let's say the piano lasts 1,000 years or whatever. You can still keep doing this. So it's a bit of conservation of instruments, and not I'm the last person who's ever going to see this. So anyway, I'm also, the other nice thing, instead of relying on these screws to hold this down, I could do that. This is a piece of maple. It's sort of triangular in shape, but it's a piece of rock maple, and it's cut in a way that if you just push this down with the screws, it would probably be okay, but you can't take the chance of, these are very fine threaded screws. Why take the chance of putting the glue in there, putting the screw in there, and then having the threads strip out, and now you're left with something that may or may not be glued down. It's also very hard to get a clamp under here because of this is a slope. To try to clamp this straight down is also hard. So then again, I have this very elegant system of a glue bar which goes up here. And one of the nice things about it is you can put a very tiny amount of pressure on here. I can just push that in while I'm holding this. And this ash glue bar, see, it just popped right out. But I can also bend this and put, I don't know, 90, 100 pounds of pressure on there if I needed to. Or anything in between. So that's what I'm going to do. Soon I'll put these things on top of it. I don't want to damage anything about this wood. And I don't know if I can't, maybe I can find a tripod, maybe I can video it. It's not very exciting to watch, but I'll take some pictures after it's glued up. But that's one of the projects for today. The other thing is I have roughed out this. So it's important to get this little shape right here. There's a little dished out spot on the plate, which is right here. If you can see it, it's not perfectly flat. It's important to put a big chamfer on these edges to get started, to round it over, not just from a woodworking perspective, which is good because wood likes to split on the edges, but it's good that this is not a real sharp right angle on this plate here. So you want to chamfer that really nicely. And then to put a chamfer on the back of here is also important, not for me, but for the guy who's doing the action work, because the action comes sliding in somewhere. It comes sliding in like this, and if one of the hammers is stuck up in the air, or sliding out, sorry, this is, I don't know, it's hard to visualize upside down like this, but when the guy's trying to pull the action out, if you leave this chamfer off of there, it's more likely to grab one of those hammers and snap it off. So that's a little bit of a courtesy that you really should do. But it's also from a woodworking perspective. Corners like this on wood, that's where they tend to want to crack. So it's a good thing to do anyway. So I'm going to get started with this. And depending on how close I came to roughing this out, I normally sit here with a dust mask on and goggles and use a belt sander to take the high spots off. But just because there's not a lot of pressure on me to get this done quick. I mean, it would take me half an hour maybe to do it with the belt sander. I'm just going to use the spoke shave and sit here and enjoy the day instead of wearing my undersea garb. To keep the dust out of my face and stuff. Finished polishing this. I don't know if it's going to focus again today. I don't know why. It won't focus on here. It just doesn't seem to want to focus. All right. Well, like I said, maybe I'll take some pictures of this when it's done.